Well, I think this is one of the most exciting parts of the meeting, and it's also one of the most terrifying for us as we move forward. But my job today is to introduce our 47th president, Ravi Veeraswamy. So I'm going to start with a public service announcement. First of all, Ravi, this is a reminder to silence your phone before you start your presidential address. We have reached out. Your department chair knows not to call you, and literally everybody else that's important to you is here to support you. And so my gift to you is this 1 hour respite from any phone interruptions during your talk. As way of disclosure, I have worked with Ravi for over a decade, but learned more about him in the last month than I had in 10 years. In addition, I'll do my best to pronounce things correctly, but I make no promises regarding the accuracy of my Google searches for sure. And then finally, this is the first time I've brought notes to a talk since fellowship. I am much more comfortable talking about aortas and carotids than I am introducing one of my colleagues to everybody here. Well, let's get to it. So, who is Ravi Veeraswamy? Oh, wait, that's the other Ravi EC that's associated with Emory. Okay, who's the real Ravi Veeraswamy? He's a dedicated father and husband. He's the chief of vascular surgery at MUSC. He's a president of the VESS. But he's also a philosopher, a musician, and a multi-potentialite. For those of you who did not put in your Wi-Fi codes today, that's a person who has many different interests and creative pursuits in life. So Ravi's story starts in Lucknow, India, which is a city that started thousands of years ago during the Suryavanshi dynasty. I think I got that right. When Lakshmana and Lord Rama were exiled, they ended up in that area and established the river on the bank, or established the city on the banks of the Gomati River. There's been a lot of turmoil there, but it is now considered a Renaissance city, and it's known for its picturesque gardens, poetry, music, and fine cuisine. And I think it's very fitting that Ravi came from such a wonderful city. So Ravi's an avid reader, I've been told, and one of his favorite authors is Colin McCann, who's an Irish author who wrote Let the Great World Spin. And a quote from him is, "The world spins, we stumble on, and it is enough." Ravi's family emigrated to Columbia, South Carolina when he was 7 years old. His father came first to finish his training or his studies in English, and then was shortly followed by his family. His father is an English teacher and actually taught at his high school. His mother sold insurance. Here he is with his sister Renu as well. They had an idyllic childhood, I've been told. Ravi attended Irmo High School, where this is a picture of him in one of his undergraduate yearbooks. I was going to crop out just Ravi until I realized that we have a visit from former President Matt Corrier here with his excellent mustache. And so it shows that the world is always aligned when it comes to the VESS. So Ravi will tell you that he is an elite athlete. And during his time in high school, he excelled at soccer and was also an avid tennis player. And he says that he could have probably gone pro if they had just put him in and let him play in the final game. They'd have won, he'd have gone pro. But unfortunately, his parents were very strict, and so they favored academics over athletics, and so he had to do other activities. He was the captain of the debate team, so I've been told. He was also a mathlete. And then his musical prowess started as he played the trumpet in the marching band. And I kid you not, there is actually a video on YouTube of the Irma High School marching band from 1990. Now, I watched all 8 minutes of this, and I could not find Ravi, but this is a still shot of it. I think he's in there somewhere, so that's them on the field. Interestingly, in 1991, they participated in the state championship, but I realized that he was no longer there. He graduated the valedictorian of his class, of course, and then moved on to Hopkins. So he went to Hopkins, where he majored in philosophy. It is true that he always planned to be a doctor. And so the question was, well, why philosophy? I thought maybe it was his dad, but we realized that his mother is actually very spiritual. She's a practicing monk called a Swamini. I think I got that right. All right. And so that was really the origin of his major in Hopkins. And of course, here's Ravi contemplating the passage of time while he waits for the bus stop. Bob Dylan is one of his favorite songwriters. Don't criticize what you can't understand. Robbie really hit the ground running at Hopkins, and so he was given the opportunity to be one of 4 students who ran the Milton Eisenhower Symposium. I didn't know much about this, but as I looked into it, this is a really big deal. And so as I look back in the archives, this was the 1990, which was called Dreams Deferred, Perspectives on Race Relations. And the keynote speaker was Maya Angelou, which is pretty awesome. But you can look at here, Spike Lee came to this, Juan Williams, so they had some pretty big name people for a college student to put together. And there's always more layers when it comes to Robbie. So when you think of Dreams Deferred, that was actually by choice, and it's actually based on a Langston Hughes poem, I assume, which talks about putting your dreams off and what happens with them. So lots going on here, and you can see that Robbie was really a proponent of DEI before we had any type of committees or any support for it. All right, more Bob Dylan. Love is all there is. It makes the world go round. Love and only love. It can't be denied. When you talk about a couple and how they fall in love, there's always 2 sides to the story. And so I'm going to tell you the love affair from Asha's side. Oops. So Asha will tell you that they met her first day in college. And so you think, wow, this is going to be a Hallmark story, right? So Robbie was a second year, and he was introduced to her roommate. And then I thought, well, they fell in love. She said, no, we really didn't interact much during college. It was sort of a peripheral experience. College ends, Robbie goes backpacking in Europe, finds out that Asha's there, and they meet in Florence, and they apparently have this amazing day where they see all the sights, they have dinner, and I thought, wow, this is like going to end up great. Robbie never calls. In fact, we find out later that Robbie goes home, writes in his journal that he thinks things are over with Asha. But serendipitously, he leaves his hat behind. And so as any romantic comedy goes on, you know, after they leave Europe, they have to come back, and Asha has to give him his hat back, and they still didn't get together. So at some point, the universe is giving him too many choices or too many chances, and he's finally got to take his chance. Apparently, they then met at a concert, and that's when it hit Robbie that this is time for them to be together. He called her, and they've been in love ever since. And that's the story. All right, so Robbie finishes his medical school, and he was now having to decide what he wanted to do for residency, and he's deciding between, of all things, psychiatry and surgery. And so I heard that it was a difficult decision for him, and I wish at the time that he knew that VESS existed, because there is a safe place out there for a surgeon to wear a sweater vest and to not be teased. I think that would have made it much easier for him to make this decision. Either way, luckily he chose surgery, went on to WashU, where he met one of his mentors, Dr. Sicard, who really pushed him towards vascular. They had a great time at St. Louis. They were there for many years. Both of their sons were born. Kedar is an English major in Williams College, and Vishwa is very musical. He's a senior and deciding what he's going to do. They found a love for baseball. The Cardinals were very important to them, and apparently WashU would raffle off the opening day tickets every year, and Robbie had something figured out, so he won them almost every year. This meant that as a resident, you got to go to the game, and you would also be covered by your former residents or all the other residents. One year, he gets a notice that it's time for him to go to jury duty. So he calls and he says, look, I'm a resident, I'm a physician, and they say, we don't care, doctors come to jury duty, residents can come to jury duty. He goes on and on, they won't let him out of it. Finally he says, look, I have opening tickets to the Cardinals. And she says, well, why didn't you tell me? And passes it on. So apparently it's more important to go to the Cardinals than to be a surgeon. But here he is with his sons at a Braves game and recently at a White Sox game, and it's something that they've enjoyed together. Music's a big part of Robbie's life. Everything falls into the hands of music eventually. The only thing that ever rescued me was listening to a big voice. There are years accumulated in a sound. So this is Robbie playing sitar. We know he already played the trumpet. And his new endeavor, besides singing, which we'll talk about in a bit, is to play the guitar. So he's been taking guitar lessons with his son, and apparently they play at this amazing dive bar called the Windjammer. So I can just picture Robbie with about 18 little kids up there. They're all playing their music, and then Robbie gets up as the one adult who decides that he's going to put himself out there. We'll learn more about the Windjammer in a minute because apparently there's karaoke there as well. But what I have heard is that his son is much better guitar player than he is, and you can see him on stage there. All right, there's nothing so stable as change. Quick accolades about his vascular surgery career: 10 years at Emory. He was associate professor of surgery, program director in vascular fellowship, chief of vascular at MUSC since 2016, professor of surgery, program director. He participated in over 20 industry-sponsored trials. We all know this. Over 70 peer-reviewed applications or publications. One thing I didn't realize, he also has a patent for a flow-directed guide wire. So when we start seeing talks about that, we know that they're all Ravi-generated. All right, on to MUSC. Here's a picture of his faculty and his residents. And here's a caricature, and of course, Ravi's got a guitar. So I find that when you really want to learn about a surgeon, it's important to ask their partners, but you get much more honesty from the people that they work with. And so I reached out to several of his reps, and I said, please be honest. I need to know, what it's like. So Patrick wrote, I've worked for Ravi, with Ravi for 6 years. He's one of my favorite doctors, calm, level-headed in the OR, friendly to everyone. Outside of work, he's a family-first kind of guy, loving father, husband, and a pretty mediocre guitar player. Thinks he's a rock star, but he's not even as good as his son. And so this is apparently the way that Ravi prepares his PMEGs. He lays on the couch and really pictures how he's going to do the procedure while the residents and the reps measure everything up. All right, Lauren, she said he's a high maintenance diva for sure. Does a toddler tantrum, stomp in the OR when he's frustrated. Loves story time. Will be on hour 4 of a long PMEG, and he'll stop what he's doing just to focus on the story he's telling. Always sings, plays the guitar at a dive bar. That's Windjammer. The kind of place where someone puked on me last time I went to see him play. So I would argue, don't go there. We've all been on Zoom for many times here, and we all know that Ravi likes to be in charge and speak, and I thought this was interesting. Here you look on the bottom, the computer thinks that Matt Worcester and Ryan King are speaking, but the only one with their mouth open is Ravi, so clearly he's can't stop. All right, an anonymous thing came in that Ravi thinks he's LeBron James of vascular surgery. His life always comes down to millimeters. I don't know. I think if you shave LeBron James and put some loops on him, maybe he could be the Ravi Veeraswamy of the NBA. All right, I wrote to his partners and I said, just give me 1 or 2 lines about him so I can kind of go through these quickly. Unfortunately, they all sent me like multiple paragraphs. So, as the journal page fees go up, Ravi, I think you're going to have to really get a fund here. But I was lucky to get, this is from Ruddy, I was lucky to get to train with Ravi. His impact on my career was amplified, became the division chief at MUSC. It's like working with your older brother. He has best interests in mind, but will be the first to tell you that you're out of line. He will tease you relentlessly when you do something dumb. I'm eternally grateful for his support and friendship. Dr. Wright wrote, this is all pared down, one of the things that makes it easy to work with him is that he goes with the flow. He does a lot, but never forgets to be a person, gives everything 100%. That's his default, whether it's patient care, working to make the division better, or learning to play the guitar. Gotta love Tom Brothers. I don't know what the tenor of your introduction is, but I've been waiting to use this for years. Sorry, Ravi. So apparently, at MUSC, he calls himself the Brown Stallion. Many wonder if he's a gelding, but either way, we've learned that he cannot be saddled. So, Tom, thank you for your contribution. Matt Worcester says, I can sum Ravi up by saying that he's a kind person who has made it where he is through a combination of hard work, personality. He knows how to make people around him feel bigger and enjoy seeing his friends and mentees. He knows what is required to be a leader in a challenging field, but is not afraid to make fun of himself and put others at ease. If it all else fails, he will either sing, play the guitar, or make you do CrossFit with him at appropriate times, of course. Again, remember, these are all pared down from what they sent me. And then finally, Adam Tanio sent me like 3 pages, which is his way. When I searched for my first chief out of training, I felt privileged that my future boss and mentor was someone who understood what it meant to be a father and a surgeon. He's a father of 2 amazing children, married to a rock star physician, and most importantly, someone who always prioritizes family over everything. Thank you for your steadfast leadership and overall guidance of how to fully take advantage of life has to offer and define what it means to be success in our field. His patients love him. They come from all over to see him. And then I was sent this. with no context. So hopefully Ravi can explain what the unicorns are all about. All right, well, nothing is without controversy, and the controversy of his president began at the spring VESS this year in June, when at our dinner after the meeting, he hit his glass and made an announcement. Now, I couldn't clean up the audio, so I had to basically read it for you. So he said, "You are duly notified. Every member," and he stressed, every member of the EC and associated friend of the EC will be mandated by the president to perform at the president's dinner in karaoke. This is non-negotiable. We all said, sure, whatever, this is going to be fun. Some people swore. It was great. October came, and we get a thing from Angela Weatherby. It's time for you to reveal the song that you will be giving at the president's dinner. DJ really wants to know what's going on. I swear, within a minute, Matt Courier, nope. Misty Humphreys jumps in, I stand with Courier. Bernadette was next. That's a hard no for me, but I'd be happy to propose the songs for Ravi to perform. Todd Berland, taking the Courier stand as well. Should we make a motion? And then Nitin Singh, I stand with the unity of the Nopes. All right, Dan Hahn comes in, and he's the first one. I'm going to do Gangster's Paradise. So I realized here that Ravi probably realized that his dream of a karaoke presidency was slowly slipping away. So he jumps in and says, after consultation with the VESS leaders, we've unanimously agreed that everyone except Courier has to perform. And then Ravi Rajani thought outside the box, maybe we can do something instrumental. I've also been told that tequila's not allowed either. So the Lees, then came the Lee Five. We're looking forward to this, and we'll finalize our selection soon. But where did this whole karaoke thing come from? Got a lot of pictures from people when I reached out about VESS. And so when you first look at this picture, you think, oh, it's just Ravi singing on stage. But if you do a little forensics analysis, you can realize that although the lights are the same and the twinkle lights are the same, the stage is the same, the bands are different. And so I was able to go back into the VESS archives, and what we realized is that the picture on the right is Steamboat in 2017, and on the left it's 2020. So this is something Ravi's been doing for a long time. Now, so there's going to be karaoke at the presidential dinner tonight. For those of you that don't have a ticket or are going to miss it, this is what you're missing. It's a 3-minute song. I'm sorry. All right. I think the best way to sum up Ravi Verswamy is through his wife's words. Ravi's someone who can connect with people intensely and relatively quickly. This is why his patients are so endeared to him. He is passionate, has a lot of bark sometimes, but actually not much bite, to his chagrin, actually. He loves people intensely as well, values loyalty, but if there's one thing I can say about Ravi that always rings true, if you are in trouble or in need of help, he is always there with a quick, insightful, and real solution. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 27th President of the VESS, Ravi Verswamy.
The years just